Franchise. 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 Franchise the damn thing.
Commercial towing vehicle, the Nostromo. Crew, 7. Cargo, refinery processing 2 million tons of mineral ore. Course, returning to Earth. Welcome to Franchise Addicts, a podcast covering every film in a given franchise. My name is Luke.
And my name's Chris.
And this week we are kicking off with the Alien franchise and the first film of that series, Alien.
That's right. We're bursting out of the chest with Alien.
We're doing it.
A classic.
This podcast is going to cover a plethora of movie franchises, but we decided to start with Alien. This was a Chris recommendation. So Chris, why the Alien franchise?
Well, because it's the best franchise ever, of course. So I have a history with it. Ever since I was a wee lad, I was very into the Alien franchise, and I've definitely seen all of the movies very enthusiastically multiple times. For those major Alien people out there, I was the owner of the Quadrilogy, a box set that made up a word, and huge fan. And Luke and I, both movie nerds, but Luke, tell the people how many of the Alien films you have seen.
I have seen one. I have seen the movie Alien. Not just specifically for this particular podcast, because that was helpful to watch it for this before we talk about it. I had seen it about a year ago. The Alien franchise was one of those just holes in my movie resume. You know,
Major blind spot.
Sure. It was one of those things where, like, I was born in 1991. Movies that came out before the year that I was born, I would look past. I'm not the biggest horror fan in the entire world.
Mm-hmm.
I am a very big sci-fi fan. So that's kind of what brought me around to it. And I watched it a year ago. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was unbelievable. Did I then use that as a platform to jump off and watch any of the other ones? No, I did not. There is a big hurdle for me.
What's that? We can get into it right now.
We can get into it right now. The gigantic hurdle.
Just the short version, yeah.
Is one name, James Cameron.
Jim Cameron.
Jim Cam. The man that's more at home in a submarine than he is on this earth.
Yeah. He loves water.
He does. I do not care for the movies of Jim Cameron.
Okay.
I do enjoy Terminator 2. I'm sure we will get to that in the franchises at some point.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I'm not a James Cameron fan. He is obviously the director of Aliens, the sequel to Alien. So that took me off of it right away.
We'll get there. So we'll focus today on the 1979 film Alien. Luke, you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so Alien came out, like Chris said, 1979.
Well, I believe May 22nd.
Sure.
Yeah, Memorial Day weekend.
Director Ridley Scott. We have the writer Dan O'Bannon with a little help from Ronald Shusett. Dan O'Bannon, based on a book, I believe.
So actually, I did a little backstory on this one. So he, Dan O'Bannon, he was a screenwriter, and he was originally the sci-fi team was gotten together for Jodorowsky. Did I say it right?
Jodorowsky.
Yeah. So that guy, he was making a Dune movie back in the early 70s, a version of Dune that never came out, far before the 1984 David Lynch Dune, and of course the recent Dune movies that came out. He was making a crazy Dune movie. You can see a documentary on HBO Max. Highly recommend it. It's called Jodorowsky's Dune. He got Dan O'Bannon and H.R. Geiger, who we'll talk about, wonderful set designer. He got them together, and they were working on this movie. That movie got abandoned, never made, for various reasons we won't get into here. And they eventually, Fox got them on board for this Alien movie, that they wanted to make a low-budget Alien movie. Now, keep in mind, Ridley Scott, he's a nobody for all intents and purposes at this point. This was supposed to be a fairly low-budget movie. So they go to Dan O'Bannon. They say, what do you got? So Dan O'Bannon already has a story written called Memory, which is essentially the first half of Alien. Now, this is essentially about a group on a spaceship that lands on a mysterious planet and encounters a very mysterious force, maybe an alien, but you never really find out. So basically the whole first part of this movie is based on a story he wrote called Memory. The second part of this story is actually based on another story that he wrote earlier about gremlins infiltrating a B-17 bomber over Tokyo in World War II. This was, of course, then he changed it to be they're on a spaceship, the gremlin is an alien, and you stitch those two things together and you have Star Beast, as the movie was originally called. Of course, they changed it to Alien.
Well, Star Beast,
as it should be called. It's a much better name than Alien.
What O'Bannon realized was that title was terrible. And he was rereading his manuscript and realized that he wrote the word alien in it over and over and over again and was like, well, that's a good title. It has multiple meanings. You know, alien the creature, alien the event that's occurring.
Doesn't quite roll off the tongue like Star Beast, but I guess it does make more sense. So, R.I.P. Star Beast.
Yeah. All right. So Chris talked a little bit about how this was supposed to be low budget. We do have the budget for this movie. It ended up at $11 million. $11 million budget. I believe at some point during the production, it was going so well that Ridley asked to basically double the budget, and Fox was like, "You got it. You're doing a hell of a job, Ridley." Sir Ridley.
Sir
Probably
Ridley.
Not Sir.
He wasn't a Sir yet,
but
future Sir.
Future Sir Ridley
Sir in the
Scott.
making.
Yeah, you're good to go. They greenlighted for $11 million. It ends up making $3.5 million on its first weekend.
It's a lot for 1979.
Big movie. Ends up making $78 million domestically total on its first release. Obviously, it was released multiple times, but $78 million is where it landed. It ends up going over $100 million worldwide, and with the multiple releases, Director's Cut, I believe, in 2004 that Ridley put together. So $78 million domestically. To put that into today's money perspective, that is a $330 million blockbuster. This movie killed.
Hello, inflation. Yeah, it sure did. It was a big one.
I mean, Furiosa's not even going to get to like 200 million. Like, for sure, maybe even like maybe worldwide, but like this is an absolute blockbuster.
And an R-rated blockbuster too, an R-rated horror blockbuster.
Yeah.
Which is pretty significant.
Immediately well received. Obviously has a huge cult following, even to today, obviously, since we're doing a pod about it. But yeah, on release, humongous. Obviously owes a lot of credit to Star Wars for getting fans in the mindset of these types of stories in space. A lot of the just technical stuff that makes this, an absolute stone cold classic. But yeah, it's a huge movie. This is not like some little movie that happened in 1979 and people appreciated it 20 years later. This was a big movie right away. Some of the other stuff, Rotten Tomatoes certified fresh, 93%. Nobody cares. People buy those currently, so those percentages hardly ever matter. My boys down at the IMDb station, 8.5. It is the 52nd ranked movie of all time on their site. This movie received 2 Oscar nominations for set decoration and visual effects.
Set decoration is an Oscar?
At the time, it was.
I think I haven't heard of that. It's decorating the set. Okay, very good.
So that was the nom. The winner was for visual effects. Your guy, the troll man himself, H.R. Geiger.
H.R. Geiger, you gotta love him. You'd also probably be scared of him because he makes some very strange biomechanical sexual drawings. We'll get into that though.
Yes,
very phallic, lots of vaginas. We'll get there.
He looks like Wormtail from the Harry Potter series. If you know, you know. But just a very short, squat, long-haired.
Hate to see that guy's internet browser history.
Unbelievable.
Unreal. Yeah, R.I.P. I believe he passed not that long ago.
All right, so before we get into our scene-by-scene breakdown of the movie Alien, Chris, do you have anything else before we get to the nuts and bolts of this fantastic film?
I sure do, Luke. I gotta tell you that this movie, of course, it stars, and this is the call sheet. Number 1 on the call sheet, Tom Skerritt.
Number 1.
He's number 1. He's Dallas. We've got number 2 on the call sheet, Sigourney Weaver as Lieutenant Ellen Ripley. Of course, this was the first big Sigourney Weaver movie. That's a big relevance here. This put her on the map. Prior to starring in Alien, she was in 2 things that essentially nobody heard of. One was TV, one was an unknown movie. She was cast, the Fox president at the time said he gave the idea to the crew that was making this film to say, your lead should be a woman. Not because he was a super feminist or that he was, woke in 1979, because he thought it would stand out and people would like it more.
Do you know who her competition for this role was?
I don't know, but I want to find out right now.
Meryl Streep.
Oh my gosh, what a world that would have been. I would love to see that version. I can't lie. I mean,
I believe she had a close friend who was also in the movie business pass away when they were working on casting this movie, and she bowed out, and the rest is history. Sigourney Weaver becomes the iconic Ripley.
Come on down, Sigourney Weaver. Of course, she would, a couple years later, star in Ghostbusters in 1984. She continued her role as Ellen Ripley in the sequels, Aliens, Alien 3, Alien Resurrection. She was in the first 4, and of course then has a storied career. I guess must have became friends with your friend James Cameron, as she does star in the Plug Your Tail In to Have a Good Time series Avatar. Okay, we've also got Veronica Cartwright as Lieutenant Lambert, Harry Dean Stanton as Brett, John Hurt is Kane, Ian Holm Bilbo himself is playing Ash, the secret cyborg. We call him a cyborg? What is he?
I put in my notes cyborg. I believe Parker calls him a robot.
He is, yes. He is not of this. He is not a human. Of course, Parker, Yaphet Kotto, does a great job here. And those are, of course, the main cast. What? Who else? We got to do
shout out. No, just a quick shout out.
Yeah.
His face technically doesn't appear in the movie, but he is a major character. That is my guy Balaji Badeo, the alien man himself, the guy who is in the xenomorph costume.
Man in a suit.
6'10", gangly as all heck. And he was a graphic designer by trade, and they're like, you move with an unhuman-like quality. How would you like to wear our costume?
He was like, thanks, I guess.
Balaji Badeo, the xenomorph himself.
Perfect. And what else? I mean, I think so. That's our cast. That's our story. Of course, this was a monumental horror movie, a monumental movie. We've already talked about that. The famous chest burster scene, which we will talk about, is considered to be one of the most memorable scenes in the history of film. So let's get into it.
All right. We open the movie Alien with our opening credits. Some of the most iconic credits of all time. We have a slow pan across the exterior of a spaceship as the title Alien appears gradually, starting as just white bars and slowly filling in to Alien.
Yeah, I love this so much. I mean, so clearly you see this, and the first thing you're thinking of Star Wars because of the way that ship slowly scrolls over the top of the screen, looks huge, massive. But you know, instead of the triumphant score, you've got a very eerie, unsettling score happening, and then the way that title comes in, line by line, it's so menacing and eerie. Just like the entire mood that they are able to convey with this movie. It's great. They use it later on in movies we'll be talking about. It comes back. It's so great. They actually, fun fact, that actually was just in the trailer. The trailer for Alien had that one line at a time entry of the title. They thought it was so cool in the trailer that they put it in the movie. And I agree with them. It is great. It sets the tone so perfectly.
Absolutely, and we're going to keep coming back to the score. The score is unbelievable. It's very minimal, but effective. It really holds the horror quality of this movie together. And just, like, you can probably say this about any movie, but if you take the score out of this movie, it's just people in space, and it's not nearly as tense as it is. The score... bang right away on that title card. It's unbelievable how effective it is. Our guy Jerry Goldsmith, tons of credits to his name. He did all the Rambo movies, he did Star Trek movies. Just a great,
a force to be reckoned with.
Composer. Yeah, that's the word I'm looking for. Composer. He's absolutely great. An iconic part of the Alien franchise, Jerry Goldsmith.
Absolutely.
So we get into now the first actual scene after the title, the awakening of the crew. We have the shot in on the pods slowly opening up. I believe Kane is the first one of our members that we see awakening from cryo sleep. And then we get into the first meal together.
But yeah, and before that even happens, it sets up such a pretty... The moods that you get are... It feels good. It feels... Everything looks... There's so much detail to the interior of the ship. There's all these things, that are it's colorful. It looks very modern. You've got things waking up on their own. The ship wakes up, first and foremost. You've got those little birds that drip their heads into water that remind me of that one episode of The Simpsons. That's the way Homer keeps his job. These colorful little birds. Basically, all these things are happening that essentially sets up the fact that the ship is alive. The ship is another character. Of course, the ship is called Mother, actually voiced by Helen Horton throughout the movie. But it sets up that that is a character, and I think it's the first piece that talks to us about how there's going to be humans and non-humans and what those two relationships look like, if that makes any sense.
Sure. And you touched on it a little bit, but I'll add to the opening shots. Obviously, we don't get right to the cryo chamber immediately. The camera moves through the interior of the ship.
Yeah.
It helps to provide you a layout. This is a very calm, still scene. No one has been awakened. Like you said, the ship is just waking itself up.
It's cozy.
In a very, peaceful way, is showing you what the interior of the ship is like. Because when you get to the end of this movie and all hell is breaking loose and there's a xenomorph attacking, you're going to need that spatial awareness of this chamber goes this way. This, she's got to get to this spot, that spot. And this way, you're getting all set up in the peace and quiet. Nice little score behind. It's just an absolutely perfect way to start you off in this brand new spot on this spaceship. Obviously, we've never been a part of, but we're getting to know it.
And it does a good point to say that the eeriness of that initial score changes once you get into the spaceship. It's got the cozy feel, and this is something I think that a lot of times we get in horror movies, famously in Friday the 13th, in other movies where they start off and they want it just to be such a lovely good vibes environment where you feel comfortable. You kind of let your guard down. You think, this is great. Look at all these people. They're waking up from a nice long nap. Kane is just having a nice stretch. Everyone is happy. It's a very cool setting. Things are feeling good at this point.
Yeah, and then so we get into the first meal scene. So just like we set up getting to know the ship before the chaos of people being a part of it, now we get to set up some of the broad strokes of the characters. So we have them all sitting down enjoying a meal together. We've got 7 people. As we were given in the title card, we see all 7 people sitting around the table. We get conversations that were obviously put on pause when they went into cryo sleep, and now they're bringing back up again as they are heading back to Earth after the completion of their mission to get the ore aboard their ship. We've got discussions about how much are we going to get paid. The food in here sucks and we're still eating it. The only thing good is the coffee. Mm-hmm. And just very normal people conversations.
Yes. How hungry do you think you'd be after a cryo nap for 10 months?
I would imagine that I'd be very hungry, and I would want a very specific thing.
Specific thing, like
like when you get out of jail, everyone's like, "Man, I just want like a real cheeseburger, like I want McDonald's or something like that."
Yeah,
because it's like with all the
I have no idea what it's like to get out of jail. By the way, just kidding.
With all these
I've been there.
With all the MREs and instant make food stuff that I'm sure they have aboard this ship, like something real like that.
It seemed like a lot of cereal in large plastic Tupperware is what I got out of it. But no, to your point, it is a very real. They make real characters. They make real, essentially, American working characters. And so that's, of course, the big difference here than the previous space extravaganza that we all knew and loved from 1977, Star Wars, because Obi-Wan Kenobi was not talking about how hungry he was and, that the coffee was no good, and, Luke was
pounding that cereal with the blue milk, though.
They talked like it was a fantasy movie because it was.
It's a fantasy movie.
So big difference there. Sets it apart. They're eating. They're getting into it. And then what happens, Luke?
They're interrupted by a report that Mother, the ship's AI, has changed their course. And they are now moving towards a distress signal that was picked up by the ship towards this planet. And the ship has moved in close to this planet so that they can go check out the distress symbol or signal. And I believe at this point they now realize that they are still 6 months away from getting back to Earth. So this is a humongous deviation.
Yeah,
and kind of a crazy thing to wake up to. They think they're like on the home stretch to get back to Earth. And this humongous deviation has been made during their cryosleep.
Yeah, Sigourney Weaver is Ripley is trying to radio Antarctica, and then they realize this isn't our system. She kind of looks at Lambert and says, "Yeah, this isn't our system. I told you that already." And they find out they are very far away, and there's a distress signal. So what are they going to do? they have to go, right?
Yeah, so Dallas goes in to have a chat with Mother. He gets into the
light room.
The spherical room with all the lights and has a little chat with the AI.
That room is so cool.
It is a very cool room.
Like all Christmas lights. It reminded me of kind of like a college dorm room.
Yeah.
There just needed to be like a Bob Marley tapestry and lots of, for those that aren't seeing it or that haven't seen it, lots of essentially Christmas lights covering everything, covering the wall everywhere. It's a really cool vibe. Oh, and Siri, hey, it's our first guest on the show is Siri. Something went wrong. Please try again. She's talking about the plot, of course. Something is about to go wrong. So Siri, thank you for that segue. Let's talk about what happens when Dallas talks to Mother in the big light room.
Yeah, so Dallas gets told basically they need to check out this distress signal. This is the reason why the deviation occurred. This is why they, are getting reports back from Earth. They got to go check this out. As a part of their mission contract, they are required by the company that they're working for, if any intelligent life pops up, they got to go investigate, figure it out. So they're under contract to take a look at what is going on with this distress signal. They have landed on the planet where the distress signal, LV-426.
LV-426, of course.
And they land, and we get a kind of... It's like a winter storm is happening out there.
It's very loud.
Ash is reading off the oxygen levels and the gravitational levels and all that nonsense. The John Hurt character, Kane, is like, obviously I'm volunteering to go out there, and Dallas is like, haha, of course you would volunteer.
It's just a stud.
So you know who kind of the main, the muscle of the group is going to be here. Lambert, who I think they just had to give a job to. Mm-hmm. I'm going to end up saying mean stuff about Lambert. I don't really mean it, but I do think that they just had to include her because she had no other character development. And so they all volunteer to go out. They're going out. And then we get the first shot of the alien ship that is on this planet where the distress signal is coming from.
Does it look like two dildos?
I've never seen a dildo, so I don't know.
Well, let me tell you, I've heard about them. I've heard tell. I've heard descriptions on old AM radio, okay? And I think that the ship, the one thing, well, we didn't really talk about H.R. Geiger yet. We're going to talk a lot about him. We're going to start with these ships. He designed all the alien stuff. So his deal, he's doing the alien, he's doing their ship, everything. What, if you don't know his artwork, obviously if you've seen the aliens, that's like his artwork. It's very, basically it's like a mix of machines and people, and there's a lot of sexual, of large sexual nature, lots of phallic things, vaginal imagery, things like that. And the ship is essentially like a big horseshoe, and the entrances do in fact look like vaginas.
Yeah, that's just Geiger.
That's Geiger being Geiger.
Doing his thing.
He's got a Geiger.
Yeah. This also gives us just some of the best directing, shooting, cinematography that we get in the entire movie. We get wide shots of the planet with the small little dots from the lights of the people that are going to explore the ship. It just looks... you could pause it in a still, put that picture up on your wall, and people would be like, that's art. Mm-hmm. Just really, really great stuff. A lot of this is, working with models. So smaller versions of the ships, smaller versions of the, mountains and stuff that they're putting behind them, all the hills, constructing landscape, setting lighting for it perfectly. It looks like a real alien planet that you would go explore and want to know what's going on with this distress signal. And it's shot so cavalier. Like, you don't have to do this. You could just follow them behind with a camera and just kind of make it up as they're, talking. You can use language to talk about how crazy this planet is. Ridley Scott uses image to tell a story. That is what's so important about how he sets up this planet, is that you are getting it visually. The characters aren't just talking back and forth about it.
Yeah, and two quick things about that. So speaking of small things used in the scene, when the ship touches down, the legs of the ship, originally they had the actors dressed in, this is a slightly different part, but essentially the same part of the movie. When they're landing on LV-426, when they're landing on it, the legs of the ship, they wanted to show the actors, and the adult actors were in these space suits, and Ridley Scott said that it didn't look massive enough. So you know what he did, Luke?
Put his kids in there.
He put his kids in there. He put his two kids in little space suits that apparently were really hot and causing people to pass out and like not really very cool.
Yeah, and until the kids passed out in the suits, then they're like, maybe we should help the adult actors out in these things, because they said they would spend like half the time just waking these guys up from passing out.
Sounds awesome. It's pretty hot in here, so I think as this series goes on, as the summer goes on, we're going to be just like those guys in the alien suits. It's going to be great.
But we're not going to make any adjustments until we have two kids try to podcast about a movie and then pass out halfway through.
Yeah, us passing out is just going to be part of this. So don't worry if there's long periods of silence. That's what's happened. It's okay. Just skip forward again until you hear voices, and it's going to make for a really exciting time. The other thing that I wanted to mention about this, what you said about Ridley Scott's use of spectacle and really making wonderful worlds, of course with the help of H.R. Geiger, but he's doing it, we'll talk about it in just a moment. They get into the spaceship. I can move it along. They get into the spaceship. They see this huge thing that I guess we call now the space jockey. It's in the alien ship. And it's immense. It's mysterious. We never truly find out in Alien what this thing is. It looks like there's a big alien person that kind of looks a little bit like an elephant man. Later on, they would call these things the engineers. Looks like there was a chest burst activity that might have happened. The crew doesn't know what this really is. It's on this gigantic spaceship looking adjustable chair thing. It looks super cool. It looks half technology, half bones and stuff like that. It's all very crazy, very cool. It costs money. They actually had to fight to get that space jockey set built. Studio didn't want to do that, but the thing that they said, and this relates to what you were saying, Luke, is they said, this is what's going to make this and let the audience know that this is not just a B movie. This is not just some, Aliens in Outer Space Attack Part 7 type of thing that's going to be on at midnight. This is something more than that, and he did that with the set here. So they're getting in there. We've got Lambert. We've got Kane, we got Dallas. They're in their pretty cool, very hot suits. They're cruising into the alien ship.
So, the alien ship, again, we're getting similar shots to the opening scene where we're going through the spacecraft.
But it's not cozy.
This is black, iron ore looking, just brutalist architecture. A lot of hard edges. This looks like a war machine. This looks like Nazi war machine death stuff.
Classic Geiger.
Yeah, Geiger really getting into his German
Geiger
roots.
being Geiger, doing his thing.
And it's at this point of the walk with our characters that are currently exploring the spaceship that we are cutting back to Ripley and Ash, who are still aboard the ship, still receiving messages from Mother. And it's turning out that this distress signal is not an SOS for help.
It's not.
This is a signal that turns out to be a warning.
It's a warning.
It is a warning to not come to this planet.
What I just wanted to bring up really quickly is the juxtaposition between these shots that are very quiet of Ash just looking out the window at the crew on the ground, and then they'll cut to the crew on the ground. It's violent, it's loud, it's all chaotic, and then it'll cut back to these long kind of longer shots of Ash just looking out. There's actually one point where he does like these little like cute jazz hand waves out the window at people, like "Hello, hi guys, have fun." But really, what it effectively does without the jazz hands is it sets up this. It sets the eerie tone, or it keeps the eerie tone going. We've already established it, but it keeps it going because you've got the loud outside and the very quiet inside, and you're also like, why is this guy he's like licking his chops? He seems very excited about what's happening here. It just does it does a great job. I made a note of how it really keeps the mood going in such a cool way.
So Dallas, Kane, and Lambert get to kind of this cave inner portion of the ship. They decide to lower Kane down to do an investigation. He gets lowered down, and we enter the egg chamber. This humongous football field length chamber with pathways and just hosts of eggs lined up everywhere. Kane goes to take a closer look, and we get another very birthing, vaginal-looking piece of equipment that is the egg.
Under the blue mist.
Under the blue mist that reacts when it is touched by glove. And, Kane's just got to stick his face in that egg, baby.
He does. Kane's secretly kind of a perv.
Yeah, Kane's got to take a close little look. And we get our first jump scare of the movie.
Yeah.
We get the octopus-looking thing exploding from the top of the egg and attaching itself to Kane's mask, and we cut. Hard cut. That hard cut is so brilliant because you're just left in suspense. It's a mini cliffhanger within the movie itself. So we're back to Ripley and Ash. They have not heard any of this over the receivers. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily know what happens. They're thinking, this is taking them a little bit longer. And we then hear Lambert and Dallas show back up and want to get let in. They're let into the ship by Ripley, and they begin explaining
Wait.
what is going on.
But before that happens, critical thing, the letting them on the ship. And this is actually something that is explored slightly more in the director's cut. But essentially what happens is, they all say that we got the three that are coming back. They're like, hey, there's something on Kane's face. I don't know. It's crazy. Let us up. So, Ripley says, I don't think so. I am the commanding officer on the ship when Dallas is off. And I'm saying, you guys, you got to go. We can't let
quarantine.
You got to quarantine.
Get some masks on, social distance.
And she's not going to let them up. And she is, this kind of establishes her like, she's kind of a badass. She's going to put her foot down and say, you know what? I am going to do my job. And she's not going to let them up. And then even though Dallas says, like, that's an order, he's like, you know what? You're not on the ship, Dallas. You're not in charge. On the ship, I'm in charge. And then what happens? Ash, that little devious cyborg that loves himself some alien, lets him in. And he says, I was obeying a command. And
following orders from the commander.
He lets them up. And this is a huge thing, and in the director's cut, there's an additional scene where Lambert attacks Ripley and says, why didn't you let us in? And she says, you broke protocol, and she's upset. They're all upset, and that is how Kane, with an alien on his face, gets into the ship.
Exactly. And because at this point in the movie, we do not realize what Ash is, what his motivations are.
No.
We see Ash simply as the science good guy that is going against this, hard-bitten woman in Ripley who's kind of like a ball buster, like really, really letter of the law type person. Ash is just the nice guy that's just like, obviously we're going to let him aboard. We don't want him to die out there.
Yeah.
I'll take care of the medical side of it once they're in here. We'll figure it out. And then we cut to probably one of the three most iconic scenes from the movie. We get the first examination in the quarantine medical room, and we get to see the result of that octopus-looking creature as it is upon the face of Kane.
So, quickly, do you think that we know that... You said we think that Ash is innocent at this point. There starts to be some signs that this guy is a little too excited about the alien.
But what they're doing is they're hiding it behind him being the science officer. So obviously he should be intrigued by this. This is
science.
This is life outside of, what is normally known. He should be really into this. So it makes a lot of sense. And this is a quarantine medical emergency. He should be taking the lead on it because he's the science officer and he's the one that's going to have to deal with the fallout of this anyway. So they're doing a great job of masking this. But like you had said earlier about Ash looking out onto this planet and kind of rubbing his hands together and urging them to go farther into the ship and take a look at that egg.
Yes, don't worry about it. Yes.
Yes, my precious.
Yeah, exactly. He's just so jacked about this thing. You can tell he's just about to cream his jeans over the fact that they're going to bring this alien on board. And then we get to the face hugger examination. It's done by Ash. It's done by Dallas. And the first thing they want to look at are the digitals, which apparently is what they want to call the fingers. I think, the terror of being kept alive as a host, that first scene we see of Kane with it wrapped around his face, tail around his neck, but we see the guy breathing. We see him breathing, and that's kind of horrifying.
Yeah, it's about as scary of a non-jump scare image as you can get. You have no idea why this thing is keeping Kane alive. You don't know what's really going on. They have the, X-ray MRI looking images of this, prodding thing, down into his stomach that's supposedly supplying him with oxygen and keeping him alive. It's this brand new creature that we don't know anything about.
But we know it's smart, right? Because when they try to rip it off, it strangles Kane a little bit. As in, I know what I'm doing here. If you try to do this, I'm going to kill this guy. So the alien, the facehugger's smart.
And that's just the first attempt. The second attempt, they try cutting off one of the digitals.
The digitals.
And this acid comes pouring out and starts going through the ship. So, second defense mechanism.
Brilliant.
This thing does not want to be taken off of its host.
And the acid blood is amazing.
Yep, dripping through. Again, using this scenario to give you a better idea of how the ship is laid out because they're having to go from layer to layer to layer to try and see how far this thing is dripping down the ship, where they can stop it. Again, just using visual cues to give you a better idea of how the story is going to move and work later on. And like Chris said, that the acid is so powerful that, again, you're just like, this thing is crazy.
Eats through the hull. Also, as a boy, I gotta ask you, did you ever, when you were just playing around, was a big weapon that I think was something that was in Pretend was acid? I don't know if it was like not LSD, but just oh, he's going to be sprayed with acid. Oh, the acid is eating through everything. I don't know if it started with this Alien in 79. I was not born yet. But just the idea of it just seems like something that is perfect for little boys to high five and be like, whoa, acid blood. Yes. It's very, very cool.
It is very cool. And it's, again, super effective.
Yeah.
Because you're like, that blood is eating through this ship. If that gets all the way to the end, you got a hole in your ship.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? And it's this ultimate power because you think this ship is your big protecting force against all the, stuff that you have to wear a spacesuit out into this planet, obviously keeping you alive. And this thing is bleeding something that once it hits the outside, you got a hull breach, you're done. I made a note at this point. There's an Ash and Ripley conversation after they decide to stop messing with the facehugger anymore because they don't know what's going to essentially happen with it. Ash and Ripley have this conversation. Ash gives more detail about, the scientific nature of this creature. We're not to the ever important Ash conversation about the creature, but we'll get there.
He's collating still.
He's collating.
Always collating.
He's not obviously, but in retrospect, obviously, like, delaying this process as much as possible.
It's really complicated, It's like you wouldn't understand, but like it's essentially what he's doing. He's also drinking milk. I clocked this.
Yes,
he's drinking milk,
Absolutely.
which will come back in a later scene. But also, I mean, if you see, this is personal, but if you see a grown man drinking milk, I feel like red flags are up.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. He's drinking milk. He's trying to get her to not worry about and he's looking at the X-ray. He's looking at that X-ray. She's like, "What is that?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know yet." Even though before he's like, "Oh, I know what this is," in his eyes. He knows. He's not letting other people into it. And
So sorry to interrupt. I did make a note here that from a screenwriting perspective. So I've talked about the visuals. Screenwriting is also very solid. That at this point in the movie, we start to shift who the main character of our story is. If you were to have picked so far who is the main character, who's the camera following, who's talking the most, who's driving the story forward, you'd probably pick Dallas or Kane.
Tommy Skerritt, yeah. He's the top build. He's the leader at this point.
At this point of the movie, after the Ripley-Ash conversation, Ripley starts to become the main character.
Yeah, she starts to throw her weight around.
Yep. So just use that as a note going forward. At this point in the movie, from now on, Ripley is our gal. She's driving the entire story forward for the most part. And all the other guys kind of fade into their respective roles. We get to the second infirmary scene where the alien facehugger has now left John Hurt's body, Kane, our man lying on the slab there, and is somewhere in the infirmary somewhere. There is a 3-person search for the alien. One person is not searching as hard as the other 2.
Who's that?
That would be Ash.
Yeah, okay.
Dallas and Ripley are looking. We get our second jump scare. The alien ends up landing on top of Ripley. What's going on? Mm-hmm. It's dead.
It's dead. It's just a reflex. How did he know it's a reflex? He knows.
He just knows. And at this point, Kane is still lying there. Hopefully he's going to make a recovery after this. The alien problem seems to have abated. Mm-hmm. It's done. It's dead. Who knows what it was supposed to be doing, but it's stopped. We got our guy Parker. We got our guy Brett. Because during this time that Kane is being looked after, their transport ship to get back up to the main ship has been damaged when they came down to the planet in the first place. Parker and Brett are engineer extraordinaires who want to make sure that they're going to get paid for this extra little bit of work that they're doing. Have issued an amount of time that it was going to take to fix the ship, the transport ship, to get them back up. I believe Harry Dean Stanton says tell him 17 hours. Yaphet Kotto goes, give us 25. Yes. And they got a big laugh down there as the blue collar guys that are like, yeah. When you take your car into the repair shop and they're like, hey, tell them it's $1,000.
They need that new air filter.
Yeah. And you're like, I guess that makes sense. $1,000, yeah, sure, $1,000. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, use jargon. Tell them it's $1,000.
And then they come up with. They always show me my oil. They're like, hey, look at this. And then they show me. I'm like, that looks like they want my approval. I don't know what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
I nod like a fool.
So Brett and Parker are doing this to the other members of the crew who are mostly, whether they're pilots or scientists or whatever. These are the guys that actually know how to get the ship up and running again. They're taking their time. They're complaining the entire way through, just as the working man normally does.
Yeah.
But they get it up and running, and the transport ship heads back to the main ship, and we fall into our second team meal bonding experience. Ash once again interrupts, says, "You better come see this, Dallas."
Yeah, it's his move.
Kane is awake.
He's awake.
And he is cracking wise. He's, seems to be back to normal. The entire crew is very happy. They bring him into the meal area. He's loading what looks to me like lo mein up, and everyone's looking at him. They're like, "Man, you must be hungry after that thing was on you." And he's just like wolfing down shit.
You crazy for that one, Kane.
Yeah. And we think Kane's fine.
He's loading up. He's so hungry.
He's very hungry. Kane is not fine.
He's not fine. No.
Kane begins to grab at his chest like he's having a heart attack. Everyone clears out like they normally do. They also do the normal move of laying someone back onto the table. Why is that a thing? Wouldn't you want them on the floor? I believe when I was in CPR training, when I was a lifeguard, you wanted to get them on the floor, not like half bent over a table, but
it's almost like that was to help a puppet that might be showing up at a certain point in time.
It was almost for like structural reasons for the special effect. And we get the most iconic scene in the movie.
Yes. And we got to talk. So, of course, this is something that my folks might have heard about, but so
it's the chest burster scene, Chris.
It's the chest burster.
You can spoil it and then give into the explanation.
It's the chest burster. Oh yeah, we know it's the chest burster. We all know it. The kind of the story behind it is that, and I've heard different things. I heard one report that said they didn't know what the alien would look like, but the cast, the people, the actors in that moment, in that scene, they did not know what the alien would look like. I've heard another report that I've actually heard a few times that certain actors especially did not even know how the alien was going to enter the scene. They didn't know. So apparently, Lambert, I'm talking about Veronica Cartwright, her scream when she is covered in blood when the alien shoots out of the chest initially is genuine. She was genuinely horrified, and so it does elicit some real reaction, which is very cool.
So there is a story that came out about this scene, that it was a first take, just magic happening that day on set. Like you said, oh my gosh, I'm going to keep calling Ridley
Scott.
Ridley's
Believe It or Not.
Yeah. So Ridley Scott had this all set up. He wasn't telling any of the actors. He wanted a general, a surprise reaction. And so they shot it the first time. They nailed it. Boom, done. Not true. They shot it twice from multiple different camera angles to get everything. They ended up using the first take. The reason why they had to shoot it again was because the animatronic thing that was coming up through the chest got stuck.
Hate when that happens.
Ridley Scott goes back into the editing bay and goes, "I love it. I like the way that it's.
I love it.
I like the way that it adds this effect of this thing like really,
it's like two parts.
Working its way out.
It's a two-push situation.
Yeah. So he uses that initial part of the first shot for the tension moment. Obviously, they have to film it again to get the actual popping out. They used animal blood and all that sort of stuff. Pretty gnarly. Apparently, it smelled terrible on set. Yaphet Kotto, just like Veronica, was traumatized by this experience. Apparently, he went home that night, didn't speak to his wife for hours. They might have just been having marital problems, and he was using that as an excuse.
He used the chest. He's like, "Oh, honey, something horrible at work. This chest burster. Anyways, I gotta go."
You're never gonna believe what I just went through. But I mean, this is an all-time horror scene.
Also, right before the chest burster, a classic late '70s sexual harassment line from Yaphet Kotto to Veronica Cartwright. as they are talking about what they are so hungry for, what they can't wait to eat. Upon their return to Earth, he looks right at Veronica and says, "You know what I would like to be eating." Wink, wink, wink. And we all smile and keep talking. Because it's 1979.
There's also weird, they never talk about it, but Parker is like constantly reading a Playboy magazine. Like,
oh, yeah.
Just hanging out, flipping through that. Everyone else is like sitting around him and he's going like, yep, all right. Then Ash, in a later scene we'll see, has pinups of girls everywhere.
You think that's Ash's posters?
They're in his like little lab thing.
there's all those pictures of women, and there's also a picture of eggs. Yeah. We can get to that. But
Ash has some weird sexual picadillos that we're gonna have to unpack.
He loves a strip club early in the morning.
Yeah, unbelievable. So this all concludes. Everyone's terrorized. They eject Kane's body out into space. He's gone. What a way to go! Can you eject my lifeless corpse out into space after I pass away?
Absolutely. I was already planning on it.
Awesome.
Do you want to talk really quickly about the actual chest burster alien that comes out?
Oh, sure. I mean, I suppose we should set that up since it then becomes the xenomorph.
It's the first real look at a xenomorph. It's a baby xenomorph, so
baby
it's cute.
Xenomorph.
It's yellow. It kind of
beige.
Not the greatest. I mean, it is a puppet. It kind of looks around, kind of surveys the room with a very stiff motion. It's got a crazy silver grill. The teeth are very iconic in the xenomorph, and they made the little teeth. They are silver. It looks around, and then he scurries out into the corner.
So, all right. Now we get from a screenwriting position, we get our big transition. So this so far has been like, adventure, mystery, movie. We're getting the answers when the screenwriter wants us to get the answers. Now we just get forward momentum to the end. This is now a chase, find movie. The thing has burst out of the chest. It is on the ship. We got to go find that thing. We got to get rid of it.
Yeah, we got to kill it, except no, we don't want to kill it, says Ash. Does he? Earlier he says something about the not wanting to get the face hugger out of there. That's like this brand new thing they have to study it.
He doesn't explicitly say not to kill it,
but he calls it.
He does tell Ripley, as a part of that earlier conversation, that they need to keep a sample to bring back.
He also calls the alien after they're talking about the chest burster. They're like, "What was that thing? That's crazy. We got to kill it." And he says, "Kane's son?" And both Ripley and they kind of like give it like the fuck did he just say? And they look, but it's almost like he's saying it like maybe this will elicit their sympathies, and it does not. It backfires, but it's weird, and we start to the weird creepy Uncle Ash vibes really start to kick in to full gear at this point.
So boom, we're in war mode now.
We're in war mode.
We get some explanations of the weapons that they're going to be using to hunt this thing down. We get a cattle prod.
Good old cattle prod.
And then Ash has designed a tracking device.
Which looks like a leaf blower.
And it uses micro changes in air density to track a thing that is moving on the ship as opposed to things that stay still on ships.
Yeah.
It is also the main thing that we are going to be listening for because it beeps when it detects something. Yeah. And it also has a visual little white monitor that shows little dots of where in the ship this thing is coming from.
Like Pong.
It essentially is our tool for seeing a thing that we never really see.
Yeah, and that's a huge part of this. Really quickly, Ridley Scott in a quote said, it's not about what you actually see, it's about what the audience thinks they just saw. So much of this, and we'll see this again and again here, is the horror and the suspense is built by quick shots or things that aren't even actually the alien, like the the radar, the sound going off. So much is done without actually showing us a whole lot. So they're on the alien hunt.
And what did this movie learn from? The master himself. Spielberg and Jaws. This is Jaws in space.
Good call. Yeah. So it's Jaws in space. They're hunting.
We got our two teams. So we got team number 1. We've got Ash, Lambert, Dallas. We got team number 2. We got Ripley, Parker,
team number 2,
and Brett. Obviously, they thought that Parker and Brett needed just the whip crack of Ripley to make sure they actually
keep them in line,
do something.
Union workers.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Dallas thought he would take his turn in sexually harassing Lambert the entire time.
They're like, we got this one.
And we get to Ripley, Parker, and Brett have detected some movement. They think that they're coming up onto the alien. It appears to have locked itself in one of the lockers. They approach it with a net and the cattle prod. They're ready to take it down. We get another great jump scare and a cat that we have seen in one previous scene before pops out of the locker, scurries away. The three of them initially think it's the alien. They realize that it's just the cat. That cat's name is Jonesy.
Yeah.
Jonesy the cat. I'll have more fun things to say about Jonesy later on. But the important part of this is that Ripley and Parker instruct the low man on the totem pole, Brett, to go collect the cat so that it no longer is appearing on the radar and they can kind of corral that down. So Brett is now going to go after the cat. What could go wrong?
Nothing, of course. And also, it's interesting. First of all, economical jump scare, right? They don't really have a lot of the great technology.
Don't have to show the alien.
You
Get
just have
all
a
the
cat.
benefit.
We got a cat. Everyone's got a cat. So you show the cat as a jump scare. So economical. Also, then Harry Dean Stanton, Brett, he's looking for this cat. Kind of immediately forgets that there's an alien on the loose, and he's very relaxed. He's looking for this. He's like, kitty, kitty. And he's like, oh, enough of that kitty crap. Jonesy. He's gonna let me call it by his proper name, like a gentleman. And he's just kind of lackadaisically, he's looking for that cat. At a certain point, we also now get into the wetness of Alien. Things are very wet on that ship. There is constantly dripping. We've got chains, random chains are hanging from the ceiling. They're also wet as hell. And we've got Harry Dean Stanton. He's actually, at a certain point, puts his face up. He's looking for the cat. He takes this as an opportunity to drink some of that space water that is coming from God knows where. Is that sanitary? No. Where is that water coming from, and how does he know I should drink this right now? Is he just nasty?
I think Harry Dean Stanton was just using what was in the scene, because that's what great actors do. It's also my favorite single shot of the movie is him looking up and having the water drip on his face. The lighting is perfect. His face is perfect. He's got all that oily, greasy stuff. The water's hitting that. It looks great. This is a scene that makes, in a situation that makes no sense. You talked about it. There's chains, there's water, we're in space, on a ship.
Yeah, what are those chains for?
So this was brought up to Ridley Scott about this scene from the production. They're like, it looks great, Ridley. It's awesome. Why is there water?
So much water.
Why is this room bigger than the entire ship?
It's a very big room.
And he's just like, yeah, that all makes sense. We're keeping it. Looks too good. And obviously, it looks incredible. Doesn't really take you out of the movie. But if you do think about it long enough, it doesn't make any sense. But
he's Ridley Scott.
That's art, baby.
Yeah, he just flipped his scarf around his neck and he just kept walking.
So take us through the Brett demise.
The Brett demise. Okay, so he's he's having fun. He's looking for the kitty. He's going to call it Jonesy. He starts meowing. So this guy, they've just been told, yeah, is there an alien on the loose that is insane and clearly killing people? Yeah, that's true. That's a fact. And then we've got Brett, and he's chill. He's looking for this cat. He's having fun. He's meowing to the cat. He's very relaxed. He's drinking a little space water. We then see that there's something behind him. It's not a chain. It's not a chain. You think that there are those wet chains there? It's an alien tail. It's an alien tail. The alien swoops down behind Brett. Brett screams. It takes Brett up and carries Brett away up in the air. Sayonara, Brett.
Again, quick action.
Quick.
Hard cut. What happened to Brett? We don't know. We just go back to the reaction of Parker and Ripley coming upon the area where Brett no longer is.
Just got snatched.
And they got to come up with a new plan. This plan of splitting up, trying to find this thing on the ship and attacking it 1v1, probably not going to work.
No.
We got to figure out a way to corner this thing, corner the Dorner, and really, lock it in so that there's no way this thing can get behind us or anything like that. So we need a new weapon. Obviously, the zapper pole is not working.
Yeah.
Parker, come up with something. Yaphet Kotto's like, I got you. Flamethrower.
Enter flamethrower. Animals are scared of fire, says Ash.
Yeah, Ash is like, we haven't tried changing the temperature. And my initial thought when I heard that the first time, I was like, yeah, let's freeze this bitch. Turn the AC on. And obviously they were thinking the opposite direction. They're like, let's burn it.
Yeah.
That's probably smarter. Although I do know enough about science and science fiction that I think freezing it would probably result in the thing moving slower if it's cold-blooded. We don't know.
I know about freeze tag, and that's certainly true there.
That's true, yeah. You do freeze the person, and they're no longer allowed to chase you. So they're going to attack this thing the way you would with a creature by adjusting the temperature. They're adjusting it up. Flamethrower.
And much like John McClane, the alien is in the air shaft.
Yes, so how are we going to attack the alien in the air shaft? So obviously we're going to post people on the exits of the air shaft, but someone's going to have to go in. Now, I had mentioned that Ripley has become the main character so far. The story has moved to her.
Yeah, we're moving into Ripley territory.
So if Ripley goes into the air shaft, she has to win. So she can't go in.
She can't go in.
Because she has to continue on through the movie. So who do we sacrifice? My guy, Tom Skerritt. Dallas volunteers to go into the air shaft. He's like, I'm the captain. I'm taking the most dangerous job. Give me the flamethrower. I go into air shaft.
Yeah, and he does. Like
and
a
we
true
get
man.
We get the most tense scene in the entire movie as Dallas crawls through, cut back to Lambert looking at the detector. We get the computer digitalized air ducts, so we see kind of where this moving pong dot is, where Dallas is in relation to it, and cutting back to this dark air vent that Dallas has to shoot the flamethrower in order to see in front of him farther. He has no idea where the alien is. They're trying to tell him over the intercom, and he's just moving forward, slowly closing off each part of the air shaft as he moves through it, so there's no going back.
Let's talk about really quickly the iconic doors that close the shafts, which is one of the many things that we see. Also, they've put into the new Alien movie in the new trailer. We see those same doors, and they do a wonder. The cinematography with these doors is great because it literally takes the image of Dallas and it's basically closes in on him to really heighten that sense of being claustrophobic, isolated. It's incredibly well done.
Yes. we get Dallas seeing the jelly on the floor that the alien has produced, thinking that if he can go down a level or up a level, he can get on the level with the alien. That is not the case. Alien comes behind, chomp chomp, Dallas taken back to what we'll eventually see as the alien's lair, but another hard cut away. What happened to Dallas? He's gone. Lambert's losing her mind because, again, the only character development that she has is that when people or bad things happen, she screams and yells at people. And the team is basically regrouping, trying to figure out what to do now that their captain has been taken out.
And just some real quick notes on that last scene. The alien, it jumps out here and does what I can only call a little jazz hands. You get just the alien, you just get the top, it just kind of reaches its arms out like that. You don't see much else. It is actually a really good jump scare. I thought maybe one of my favorite jump scares of the whole movie. But also, it shows the limitations of the alien at the time, as it just essentially sticks its arms out. And then it cuts to Dallas being gone. Other thing, just the layout of the ship here is so meticulous and wonderful. I have to think, as I was looking at part of this scene where they're going up and down through the different levels, following where Dallas is going, Wes Anderson would have loved the Nostromo. He would have been super into it. Not as colorful, maybe, as him, but if you just put, a Paul Simon song over that, it would be some Wes Anderson
it's
vibes.
Life Aquatic.
Yeah, exactly. So, just awesome detail.
Ripley, who was second in command, now is basically in command of the ship. She wants some answers.
Yeah.
So she's going to go talk to Mother and get a little bit more information as to what is causing the chaos that has currently happened on the ship. She goes to speak to Mother. She finds out about Special Order 937.
937.
That special order is bring back specimen. Crew is expendable.
Yikes.
So this order was given to Ash. He is the only one that knows what Special Order 937 is up until this point, which is why Ash has been acting weird and has been seeming to root for the xenomorph to continue its carnage and not be killed by the crew. Ripley then figures all this out. Ash creepily comes behind her as she's learning this information on the screen, and we get the confrontation between the two.
Manhandles her.
He appears to have super strength.
He does. Also, he has a weird love for using a newspaper as a weapon to shove down someone's mouth.
So, I'd mentioned that we were going to get into some of Ash's weird sexual picadillos. Not only does he have... He's an android, so maybe he was programmed to enjoy the female form. Great.
I hope those are his posters.
He also chooses the most phallic way possible to try to murder Ripley when he has also thrown her across the room, slammed her onto a table, and could seemingly just rip her apart with his bare hands. And he's like, no, let me roll this thing into what appears to be a ramrod and jam it down her throat to kill her.
Yep.
A very bizarre move by Ash.
Yeah, he could have maybe thought that out a little better.
He's also going what I can only describe from Ian Holm as going full Bilbo possessed by the ring. Like, his eyes are drawn back. He's like hissing. He's going... Ian Holm is going for everything in this scene and just losing his mind. He's got milk running from his ears, running from his brow.
Parker comes in, tries to break up the fight, and Ash gives him what can only be described as an epic titty twister.
I called it Ash boob grab on Parker.
And Parker just reacts like it's so much agony.
No,
and he just
it
kind of
is-
squeezes his bicep, and it's just, he is beside himself in pain.
It's Parker Yaphet Kotto does, if you've ever watched WWE wrestling, the greatest sell job of all time on this boob grab. You know, like how the guys that when they get hit by the stunner by Stone Cold Steve Austin and they're like writhing on the ground and like
sells it.
acting like they broke his back. Yaphet Kotto is like, this man is grabbing into my heart and ripping it out. And just a great sell job by him.
He does great. And then Ash starts to violently flip and turn around in like a violent ring around the rosy, like just like a crumpin' dance, just going absolutely nuts.
And this is where Parker then smashes Ash in the head. His head pops off. We get the full reveal that this is no man. He's a robot. He is a cyborg. And milk's flying everywhere.
Milk blood.
Milk blood.
Yeah. Maybe it was just
Not
all,
explained further, but...
he drank all that milk that it was actually just the milk in his system.
So...
Also, sexual in nature. Yeah? No?
I mean...
Maybe.
Yeah, just like...
It's weird. It's a
Just
lot of
about.
white substance.
So they decommission Ash. He has been shut off in a way. We cut to the next scene in which his head has been propped up onto a table because Ash is also the science officer and is really the only one that knows what is going on. These other crew members, they don't know what to do. So they're like, we're going to turn Ash back on. He's basically all torn apart. He can't really do anything to us. We get the only scene in the movie that I can say is of its time. It is a very fake-looking head that
Very
there's
fake.
like a dissolve cut to Ian Holm appearing in the position of that very fake head so that he could then act and talk. It's bad. Those were the days, though. And Ian Holm, as Ash, explains that you can't kill it, and it's a perfect creature.
You still don't understand what you're dealing with, do you? Perfect organism. Its structural perfection is matched only by its hostility.
You admire it.
I admire its purity. A survivor, unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality.
It's a perfect organism.
I admire its purity. A survivor.
That little bugger at the end.
And then they flamethrow the shit out of him.
That's what you mentioned, the fakeness of the dummy head. I really, it's always noticeable in the first shot when it goes to him as the real person, but after he says his piece in the "That's all, folks," it looks horrendous. It looks like definitely a different person.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. So now the plan has changed. They've kind of given up on the fact that they can, with any of the weapons that they currently have aboard, take this alien out.
And let's say, who's left?
So we've got Parker left, we've got Lambert left,
We've got Lambert.
and we've got our girl Ripley.
We've got Ripley. So, all the white men are gone.
Black guy's still going in a horror movie.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's the opposite of your standard horror movie, right? And so I also wonder too. I mean, obviously we'll get into it. And Ripley, does spoiler alerts survive. How familiar were we with the final girl concept? Of the one woman that's alive till the very end. A lot of these horror slasher movies hadn't come out yet.
Yeah, Wes Craven really hadn't done his thing yet. I mean, he's the guy in horror that really takes that trope to the nth degree. The Scream franchise basically makes that, like, it literally points it out to the audience watching it that this is happening and it's supposed to happen, because it becomes such a trope that the Scream Queen is the one that makes it to the end. And She's usually the virgin that has not, been like Lambert, who's just not character developed at all, just crying and weeping all the time. Usually it's the strong virgin.
And for reference, Halloween came out in 1978. So there was one movie before, but, probably
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Also in production. I mean, I would imagine
Another strong female lead.
Exactly. So, and then 1980, you have Friday the 13th. So really that all of this big horror movie explosion is just starting. So, all right. So the white men die. We've got the three people that are left. And I think also, really quickly to talk about maybe a theme, right, is that, the Ash and the corporate man, which would be the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, which is prevalent throughout all of the Alien franchise, is evil, and they want the alien for war purposes, which Ripley does kind of utter. She thinks that's what they want it for. So these people that are just about war, they want the xenomorph. They are evil. They want something that is unclouded by conscience, remorse, or delusions of morality. So it's like this statement of like the essence of war are these just horrible people, and they are people. And now the xenomorph is the xenomorph. It's awful, but maybe the true villain that has some culpability is these corporations, these war corporations. So again, it's 1979 when this comes out. So I don't know, if a little backstory, we're getting into the Cold War. We're ramping up. The weapon ramp up has already happened. But, is that some type of commentary on all that? I would say probably so.
For sure. So I'm going to take us through basically the last 20-25 minutes of the movie pretty rapidly because it all happens very quickly in succession. We can hit anything once I get through it.
Perfect.
Basically what happens is we've got Ripley, we've got Lambert, we've got Parker. They realize that no weapons on the ship are going to be able to take out the alien xenomorph. So they are going to find a way to either eject the alien from the spaceship itself or to get off onto a shuttle and then blow up the ship with the alien still on it. So Ripley goes to the shuttle to prepare it for launch. Yaphet Kotto, Parker, and Lambert go to get some stuff, explodey stuff basically. And so they're separate. They get attacked. They get killed by the xenomorph. So we just have Ripley, who now has to set the self-destruction for the ship and get back onto the shuttle all by herself. She's just got her, the cat is still, she's bringing the cat along with her. She doesn't call the cat Jonesy, she calls the cat Jones, which is very confusing because I don't know why she calls it Jones. She does. If I was directing the movie, I would have gone back and told her to call it Jonesy, but that's just me. She's trying to get the cat. She's on the shuttle. She's setting the self-destruct on the main ship. She's got levers. She's got attachments. She's got blue things that she's got to take care of the entire time. Mother has given her a countdown. She's got 10 minutes. After 5, you can no longer reverse the self-destruction process. Ripley's getting chased around by the xenomorph. She is trying to stop the self-destruct for some reason that I don't quite know. Maybe you can clear that up for me. She is unable to do so. She gets onto the shuttle because it's going to be destroyed. She shoots off into the shuttle, and the ship explodes behind her, seemingly with the xenomorph on it. All good. End of the movie.
I got you, she says.
She did it.
Big nuclear explosion from that ship.
Humongous nuclear explosion.
3 times.
Yeah.
It is a mega
They
explosion.
made sure that thing was...
It's done.
Boom, gone. Vaporized.
So we get to
Anything that I missed in that? I mean,
Not
it all
really.
happens pretty fast. It's all just action. I mean, you can't really recap action. It happens.
No, the only thing, the only notes I had here were the Sigourney Weaver. This is really, in my mind, when she earns her paycheck at the end of the movie. I mean, she's great throughout the whole thing, but her, her doing everything she's doing towards the end here, going through the ship, she's looking terrified. She's also looking pretty like a badass action star. She's got this.
She has a machine gun the entire time, like around her neck.
Everything, there's alarms going off. Famously, in Orlando, Florida, in the MGM Great Movie Ride that doesn't exist anymore, you go through this scene. You go through the end where you see a like fake Ripley that is just hiding in the corridor. She's sweaty. She's got that machine gun. The alarms are going off. There's strobe lights. There's steam. And then you look up and the alien is staring down at you. My kids accidentally, I took them on that ride when they were very young. They just buried their heads between their legs and pretty much cried. But it's a great part of the ride. But I really thought, this end scene is just, it's such a mood. It's so well done. And she really establishes herself as like, this is a badass female action star. She's got it all. This is wonderful. She does an amazing job at this end.
And then you hinted at the iconic line, "I got you, you son of a bitch."
You son of a bitch. Which, in space, people can hear you swear. They do swear. Again, another...
Yeah, there's multiple F words in this movie.
Yes. And so, we're getting, again, to your point of how this is a Star Wars for adults. Star Wars and realistic Star Wars. There are people swearing. And, we get quite a lot of that.
And then that is a great transition into what now happens on the shuttle.
The shuttle.
Because we get even more adult here.
This is where it gets steamy.
This is where the sci-fi horror fanboys, this is their scene.
Yeah.
This is the big one.
Pause a lot of those scenes.
Oh boy. So Ripley, believing that she has now escaped, slowly realizes that the alien xenomorph has stowed aboard the shuttle.
But not yet. First, what does she do first? She takes her clothes off. She gets into those tighty whities.
Oh, that's true. So she does take her clothes off first. She puts Jonesy into the cryo sleep thing. He's taking his nap. She's getting ready to take her own nap. She's undressing.
Skimpy tank top,
just
nipples poking through.
Tight as can be.
Skimpy underwear. Honestly, the underwear is too small.
Way too small.
Way too small.
Yeah, that's not protocol.
She discovers the alien. The alien seems to be taking a nap as well.
I believe the idea is that the alien is injured in its stowaway position and kind of stuck in the inner workings of the shuttle as it had to very rapidly jump onto this thing to avoid being blown up in the main ship.
The alien's taking a knee. The alien's like, you know what? It's not just been hard for you. I've been running my ass all over this ship, through the air ducts. I've been snatching people, yoinking them out of the air. I'm also tired.
I'm going to stand up for the xenomorph here. The xenomorph in this scene is playing hurt. This is not full power xenomorph. This is, because he loses, I don't want to call it Jordan's flu game here. This is a clearly hobbled superstar that is stuck in the air ducts. And Ripley, in her skimpy outfit, slowly backs into a area where there's space suits. She slowly dons the spacesuit in order to confront the xenomorph, again, who's stuck, who can't attack. She comes out in the spacesuit. She takes a seat. She gets her grappling gun, and she uses the idea that I gave before. She hits the xenomorph with the AC.
Yeah.
And
While
chills
singing
the thing out while singing
a Star song,
that ended up costing for the rights of like millions of dollars, and the production company was like, God damn it, Ridley, do you really need this? But this was a idea from the actress herself.
It's interesting because it seems like it should, almost like it's a throwback to something earlier in the movie, and she just kind of takes this Lucky Star song. She's humming it to comfort herself during
her
this
mantra.
moment. Yeah, but like it doesn't come up anywhere before. So it's just, I was like, that's interesting to me. I mean, I guess I get it, but it happens. And yes, she blasts it. Some great iconic scenes of her looking through the upper edge of the spacesuit there in horror. The alien is so very tall when he finally does get up. Of course, that's your guy. Her just sense of exhaustion here. Also, her just kind of deadpan badass is both. I feel like it's tough and it's sexy, and it's something that Sigourney Weaver can really only do. Other actresses, you wanted to call them actors, right?
Sure. I called her an actress just a minute ago. So.
We're doing actress. So she, other actresses, maybe could Meryl Streep pull it off? Maybe she could also do it too. But it is something very unique, and it becomes, I think, one of Sigourney Weaver's trademarks. Is she is tough and in control, and also manages to be sexy and demure at the same time.
I think, and I'm only bringing this up now because you had brought up the Scream Queen. I think Jamie Lee Curtis could have played Ripley.
Yeah,
for
sure. Yeah,
for sure.
There are some. It's just, I think there are some that could have done this besides her, but this became so iconic to Sigourney and who she was as a performer.
Yeah, and we can get into that when we get to our awards at the end of the movie here. But we get in quick succession. We get AC blast xenomorph. She opens up the air hatch. She's got the spacesuit on, so she's not affected by space sucking everything out. She's strapped herself into the pilot chair. Xenomorph shot out, puts arms out, tries to hold itself in. She shoots it with a grappling gun, which then pushes it out into space, but the grappling gun is holding it, and it is dangling out of the ship.
Yeah.
The door is closed.
A little space skiing.
It is just going... It is doing some space skiing.
It looks... Yeah, it's great. It's like a little tubing. Yeah.
You're thinking, because this is how... You're like,
it's going to get back in.
It's going to either get back in, or for some reason this is where the sequel is going to pick up, and this is the reason why, the alien is still alive in the sequel. And no, they turn on the blasters and blast the shit out of the alien.
They do, and they kill it. They kill the Star Beast. Interesting though, I was watching it again. It looks like water is coming out as well. And of course that is the blaster. But if you look at it again with the water, but there's definitely
Don't go signs on me.
Some water kills the alien. Water, big in this movie. Wetness, big part of this movie. So the alien is blasted out into space. And then what?
We get the closing scene where Ripley kind of talks us through what happened. She gets the directive that she is about 6 weeks away from Earth. She signs off and goes into cryosleep. Close up on her, falling into a deep sleep. Cut to credits.
Fun fact, Ridley Scott originally wanted the alien...
You did it too, Ridley Scott.
Ridley Scott. It's impossible.
It is.
Ellen Ridley Scott. Ridley Scott wanted to originally have the alien kill Ripley, bite her head off, and then using her voice narrate that final send-off, but instead of Ripley, it would be the alien. I don't know how that would have looked. It kind of sounds a little suspect.
Terrible idea.
And the studio was like, no, we need the alien to die, and that's it. So that's Alien.
That is Alien. So we're going to get into some awards we're going to give out for this movie, and also some final thoughts on the film as a whole, as we have just broken it down scene by scene. But because we just broke it down scene by scene, that brings us to our first award, which is, Chris, what is, in your consideration, the best scene of the movie Alien?
So I have to go chalk on this one. I gotta go with the chest burster. It's one of the, most iconic scenes of cinema, modern cinema. There are some other great shots, of course, but it's just, this is one of the most classic all-time scenes in movie history. So I'm going chestburster.
Chestburster, pretty chalk, but it's got to be mentioned.
You got to do it
in the best scene. I probably gave away what mine is, but I maybe also tricked you. Initially, when I first saw this movie, my favorite scene in the movie was the walking on the planet. The first time that they get to the alien planet and they see the ship and the wide shots of the planet, everything just perfect, cinematic, picturesque, call it what you will. Beautiful filmmaking. This time around, there is one scene that stands above the rest, in my opinion, that provides the most tense action, horror, everything that this movie is about, and that is Dallas in the Air Vent.
Dallas in the Air Vent.
It is so
it's great.
Freaking good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God, it's moving right towards you. Move, get out of there. Towards you, move. Dallas, move, Dallas. Move, Dallas, get out. Oh, no, not that way, the other way, God. Dallas? No.
Take it easy. Dallas?
Everything about it, the moving forward, closing behind, drop down kill, goo, cut to the indicator computer screens, Ash is like salivating as the captain's about to get. It's just so good.
Ash is so turned on.
Yeah, it's
great.
It's so good.
It's
sounds. It's everything about the movie that I love.
Yeah, no, it's a perfect. That's a great choice. I love it.
Second award, we have to give an actor award.
Okay.
There's a lot of wonderful actors in this movie, but we specifically want to give it, not to the main character always. It might be the main character, but a scene-stealing performance, something that just stands out to you, like one guy or gal really going for it in a scene that either made you laugh, made you cry, made you feel something. Who, Chris, is your scene-stealing performance from the movie?
Well, I'm going to go, again, it might be a little chalk, but I'm going to go Sigourney Weaver. There's a lot of, the rest of the cast is great, but she just, am I also choosing it because this was such an iconic point for her in her career, and I love her work always, and this is obviously just the thing that started it all. But I do think that, she's just plays such a great action star, such a great, she's in her, like I was talking about before, the way she can be so exhausted, and the looks of exhaustion as she has her, body just pushed to the back of the ship, and she's horrified, and she's sweating, and it's horrible. And also at the same time, she can have this almost a masculine form of being the hero while still being sexy. And moments later, having having the skimpy underwear scene. I think it's revolutionary for a character at that time. I mean, yes, we had Jamie Lee Curtis the year before in Halloween. It's not the same. I think that this truly was a remarkable role for her and a remarkable milestone for women in cinema. So I have to go with Sigourney Weaver.
It's using the air shafts. That's the only way. We'll move in pairs. We'll go step by step and cut off every bulkhead and every vent until we have it cornered, and then we'll blow it the fuck out into space. Is that acceptable to you?
It's a great pick. I also knew you were going to make that pick, so I did have to go in another direction, so we didn't have two people talk about Sigourney. She's obviously great in it. It's an iconic role. She becomes forever stamped as, when you think of female strong lead character, you think of Ripley in Alien.
Amen.
I'm going to go with the Ashman himself, Ian Holm. I love Ian Holm in this movie so much. He is so creepy. He's so weird. And he is just an incredible bad guy that's actually on screen. Obviously, the Xenomorph is ultimately the big bad. But Ian Holm brings humanity in cyborg form to the true evil of this creature because of his care for it. I gave his short little monologue thing at the end where he says, "I pity you," at the end, or "You have my sympathies." This is a guy, the entire movie, the second time you watch it, you realize is rooting for the Xenomorph to kill everyone on the ship the entire time and to take this weapon of war back to the people that assigned this mission in the first place. He is just absolutely out of his mind, batshit crazy in this movie. Ian Holm, shout out to you. He absolutely steals this movie for me. He's unbelievable. Sigourney is what she is. The movie doesn't exist. The franchise doesn't exist without her. Ian Holm in Alien steals the show.
He is a menacing, devious, robotic little hobbit. It's a great pick. He's awesome. The arc of not, I don't know if the arc, but just especially on rewatches, seeing how he kind of conveys his nefarious intentions, and he's a milk drinker, and it's a great performance. It is a wonderful performance. Great pick.
I can't lie to you about your chances, but you have my sympathies.
And now for the overall winner of the movie, the thing that is largely our big takeaway. What makes this particular movie tick? We've talked about Sigourney. We've talked about Ian Holm. They might also be our MVP for the movie, but this is our pick. Chris, who is the MVP of the movie Alien?
Well, this is something I was thinking about. I'm going to say, for me, and it's very close. It's very close between, obviously, the director, Ridley Scott, of course, Dan O'Bannon, Sigourney Weaver, Ian Holm. I'm going to go with H.R. Geiger, the crazed sex troll man himself. I was thinking as I was watching this, would this movie be as creepy and iconic as it is without H.R. Geiger? What if the alien was just kind of meh?
If the alien looks stupid, the movie's bad.
Yeah, and not only did the alien look iconic, and not only was the design of the alien ship amazing and so detailed and so unique and unique, looking awesome, also looking scary, and also looking sexual. And that whole the sexual aspect adds to the body horror that we get. The entire way that the alien reproduces is very unsettling. It puts itself in a human's mouth. It implants its seed. The alien busts out of the chest. The aliens themselves are very phallic looking. The mouth is very, people have talked about it as being almost vaginal and very drippy. It's all just perverted slightly perverted. Maybe some of the work's more perverted than others, but it's creepy. It gets under your skin. The alien is iconic. The body horror is iconic. And that is all because of the designs of one H.R. Geiger. So he is my MVP. It's H.R.
The Geig man. Man, yeah. Such a great pick. He's so fundamental to why this movie is good. My MVP is going to go to the other hidden guy behind why this movie is so good. And we're going back to Jerry Goldsmith.
Goldsmith!
The score is unbelievable and really helps everything come together. It is the salt that finishes the dish. But man, would it have been just a little too bland without it. It is always there. And when it's not there, you notice it. You notice when it's silent. You notice when they're just talking. And then it picks up. It goes back to, what I gave as the best scene, Dallas in the air duct. Score just pushing everything through. It goes back to the opening of the movie itself, the title card, the score bringing us in. It controls the tempo, the themes, every little piece of the movie. So shout out to those background guys, H.R. Geiger, Jerry Goldsmith, helping to put together who, probably should be the MVPs, Ridley Scott and Sigourney Weaver. But really helping those guys go through. This is the Andre Iguodala MVP of the finals pick. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson be damned.
They get their dues.
But man, those guys, without them, this movie isn't an all-timer, and it absolutely is. My overall takeaway, and obviously I haven't seen the other movies in this franchise. I will be seeing them. I will be judging them. I will be recapping them. But this movie, if it was just a standalone, would be one of my favorite movies of all time, just simply with the story that it gives, the way it's shot. Ridley Scott is one of my favorite directors. Unfortunately, this franchise moves into different hands, but he does come back. But this movie is perfect in every single way. I'll give it a score out of 10. 9.4.
9.4. All right, yeah, I love that. I think it's obviously a great movie myself. I was remembering back earlier today when I was getting ready for this about a time in the early 2000s when a younger, more obnoxious, drunker me was showing this movie to somebody and just doing that really not annoying at all thing of, do you realize when this was made? This was amazing. This was so before its time. This was incredible in so many ways. And while that was, probably obnoxious and fueled by Milwaukee's best,
The Beast.
Beast Ice, probably, which is a bad idea.
I've been to that world.
But the point remains, my awe in the awe that I was in from this movie from the get-go. It's incredible. It's upon rewatching, the way that it plays with the tone that it sets is incredible. The cinematography. I mean, there's so many things that are just amazing about this movie. We've talked about a lot of them. I won't rehash it all, but I think it's definitely also one of my favorite films of all time. The series goes in a lot of interesting places. A lot of different auteurs, directors have a chance, have a crack at it. I think this one obviously stands on its own as absolutely incredible, and I would give this movie, drum roll please, I'm going 9.5.
Wow. 9.5.
I mean, it's just so close to yours, but it's, I mean, what else? I gotta go with it. I had to beat you by a fractional of a point.
This is your franchise.
Exactly, and that's why I had to do that.
You do have to.
It would have not made any sense if I went any lower.
It does seem like a Price is Right score.
That was a dollar move.
It was.
Yeah, that's okay. I had to win that showcase. I had to.
All right, Chris. That's been Alien. Set us up for what we're going to be hitting in the future on this franchise.
All right, so of course, we've got, in total right now, there are 7 existing Alien movies. We've got Alien, Aliens, Alien 3, or Alien Cubed, as it sometimes was called in marketing, Alien Resurrection. We've got Alien vs. Predator. We've got Alien vs. Predator Requiem. We've got Prometheus. We've got Alien Covenant. And then, of course, this is all leading up to the big release on August 16th. Of Alien Romulus by director Fede Alvarez. We are very, very, very excited about that. Of course, we'll be covering that. But next week, we're going to go to 1986, a little movie by a man named Jim Cameron. We're talking about Aliens. So before we get into that, last question of the pod today. Luke, what do you know about Aliens? Before you haven't seen it, so what do you know, just from a cultural lexicon standpoint?
I have tried to learn as little about aliens as possible. I cannot describe to you how little I care about James Cameron movies. So it has just been Alien and stop for me. Aliens, I do know, is largely considered to be everyone's favorite movie in this franchise. It kind of ramps up the action, pulls away from the horror a little bit, as Jim Cameron is known to do. The dialogue, I believe, gets worse, but
It's a James Cameron movie.
yeah, but you're going to get bigger set pieces. Ripley's coming back, I believe. She's going to be the main character. I think there's more gunplay. I believe the yellow mech suit comes in this. That is, I've seen in shows over and over again. So this is it. I got to wax poetic about one of my favorite movies that I've seen now a couple of times in Alien. And now I'm diving into the rest of the franchise, which I have zero opinion about.
He's going in blind, face hugger over his eyes. Doesn't know anything.
Feed me that sweet, sweet oxygen, baby.
Would it surprise you if I told you there was a scene where a xenomorph stretches out Ripley's hands on the hull of a ship and she says, "You're the king of the world"?
I would be probably more pleased than what I'm going to end up seeing in the movie itself.
Fair enough.
I've been Mr. Fanboy for you this first episode, and we might be getting Hater Luke the rest of the way through.
Yeah, say goodbye. This is it. This is say goodbye to Positive Luke and enter in the heel.
Or maybe I'll love it.
Maybe you'll love it. You're going to start a love for James Cameron. Next thing you know,
I might be the first person in line for Avatar 3, The Way of Sand.
The Way of Sand. The Way of Air.
Dune 3, Avatar.
It's all going to be great. And we're going to
Lisa and Albert Gaib.
We're going to find out about family, which is most important in most Cameron pictures. And, of course, there will be water. So that's going to do it for us today. Thank you guys so much for listening. Of course, subscribe. Subscribe to Franchise Addicts. We're going to be doing this a lot more. We appreciate you so much for listening, and we will see you next time when we talk about aliens. Until then, Nostromo out.